Toxic Family, part 24. If you've been tuning in to the series, part 1 on up to part 23, we've covered lots of ground in dealing with my toxic family member, which is my sister. In part 23, we talked about how she has been talking about the things that she done for my children while I was in prison, and how she elevated herself and talked down about me and their mother. One of the things that I wanted to touch on was her stories that she always tell about people. And it's not just gossip. This is far beyond gossip. If it was just her gossiping about people the way that many of us think that it is, nobody would care about that. But when she gets into these stories, and many of her stories are about people lying, people being thieves, people being child molesters, and even accusing people of murder, that takes it to a whole nother level. Now, over the years, there's been many stories of people being child molesters, both family members and people outside of our family. Now, the issue here is that in every case that she speaks about, when you investigate it, you find out that the story she's been telling many times for years don't exist nowhere but in her head, like all the other stories she tells. There's been several stories of her making statements about people being child molesters. In 2 stories, excuse me, she stated that a father had molested his children. In another case, she stated an uncle had molested his niece. Now, in both of those cases, she stated that that's the reason that the victims don't deal with the accusers. In this case, a father and an uncle. But when you analyze the situation, what she's saying ain't adding up, because it's the total opposite of what she said. She said they don't deal with them. But then I see, not only are they dealing with them, they got real good bonds with them. They got a good relationship that they talk and communicate on a regular basis. But then, when you further investigate and you talk to people, nobody knows about this story that she telling. The accusers don't know, nor do the victims. How is it that a victim don't know they've been victimized? Because the story that she telling don't exist nowhere but in her mind. It's made up. We got numerous stories coming from her about people being child molesters. And when you investigate, none of them exist. It never happened. You know, this is some serious stuff. When accuse somebody of being pedophiles, child molesters, rapists. Let me tell you about a story I read about many years ago. There was a situation where somebody accused somebody else of rape. Now, the person that was accused was arrested, went to jail, court, and was charged with rape. They end up going to prison. Now, I don't know if you ever heard or seen what happens to child molesters in certain prisons. Rapers in certain prisons. Excuse me. Well, see, we can see many stories, many cases, videos, just on your phone. But in this case, when this person who was accused went to prison, he was beaten and raped by over 20 men. He spent months in the hospital. And then, lo and behold, the person who had initially said that he raped them came back and changed their story. And they went back to court, man, and looked over the case. They really didn't have any evidence to convict him in the first place. So they let him out of prison. But the damage was done. When he got raped, one of the people who raped him, maybe more than one, had HIV. Now he out of prison, he got HIV. All because of a lie that she tells on a regular basis. See, there's been many stories over the years, but there's even been one here recently at her own grandchild's birthday party. Now, my daughter went, took my grandchildren, and she had a friend of theirs that went with her. Now, my daughter leaves the birthday party for a little bit, comes back. When she get back, my sister right there. Hey, I need to tell you something. I need to talk to you. It's important. So she takes my daughter somewhere off to the side and tells her that little girl that you brought to the party with them was humping on your daughter. Now, I want you to think about this. You take your child to a family birthday party, you leave for a minute, come back, you got an older family member come to you and tell you this. How you gonna react to that? See, because the first thing that happened when somebody pull you to the side and tell you something like this, you ain't thinking about if it's true or not. Your first first reaction is to get upset most of the time. You want to find out what's going on. Now, this could have got real ugly because my daughter could have came in and been going in on this little girl because she know her. She brought her to the party with her. She could have got upset, got into it with the child's parents, all kind of stuff could have happened behind this. But she had enough sense to say something ain't right here. Because for one, excuse me, when you sit down and you think about it, it's a birthday party full of children, adults, there, everything. And something like this happened. A kid is humping on another kid. Somebody is going to see this besides my sister. You see? But nobody did. And furthermore, if this happened and you seen it, why you didn't go stop it and talk to them? You see what I'm saying? But it's just like with everything else that she said she sees. Like she seen my brother leaving the house every day with that backpack full of her stuff, and she didn't say nothing. It was just a story she told for years. Just like this. You see, it didn't happen nowhere but in her mind. See, my daughters knew. My granddaughter's real outspoken. Ain't nobody gonna do nothing to her. And she ain't saying nothing about it. And she know the child that she took over there with him. She know the little girl that's being accused. It's just another story that don't even add up. But people can be hurt by this. You know, it never ends. It is a constant thing whenever she's around, whenever she's involved. It ain't just gossiping. It's bigger than that. You know, here's the sad thing about this. With all these stories she got that don't add up, we had one situation that happened 16, 17 years ago. That a teenager in the family actually accused somebody of touching her wrong. It was an investigation. The state got involved. There was a hearing behind it. A whole lot of people in the family attended this hearing. Do you know that this woman, my sister, who got all these stories about people being molested, when this came out and she found out, she went on a rant. That child lied. That man ain't did nothing to her. She lied. She lied. She just telling a lie because she don't want to do what she supposed to do. She just want to get out the house. She just lied. That man ain't did nothing. She don't want to do right. She just coming up with this story that this man did something to her. The man ain't did nothing. This her talking. The one with all the stories. We got something real going on. And the first thing you do is you act like a lawyer for this man against this child who is the victim. She said this over and over again. This child was lying. Now here's the thing. This ain't just any child. This is a child she claimed to have raised. And you stab it in the back like this. You ain't even sit down with her and tried to talk to her and see what happened. You sitting up here calling her a liar. You know, just a few years ago, this child is looking up to this woman, respecting her, honoring her as an elder. She confided in her about what happened back then. She telling her that how she feels though her parents didn't protect her from this situation. And my sister is repeating this story out here about the child's parents didn't protect her. But she ain't telling that she was the only one that went against this child when this situation happened. The way she acted, you would have thought she done went to school and got a law degree and became this man's attorney against this child. You think about this, man. What kind of person does this?